Welcome to the Imagination Factory. I'm Sara.
I'm Keith.
And today we are recapping episodes 35, 36, 37, where we were working on some of our rough pencils for the first page of the door.
Okay, so we got through that major hurdle from the last time, which was that center panel, and we're able to focus on the last panel here. And as Sara mentioned, this is still in a very rough stage. Most likely, you're going to see another layer of refinement after this one, but this is all really just to lay in perspective, making sure the sizing of everything makes sense. So you see me working here, like where I'm trying to figure out the space between the doors and, like how much space there's going to be where the closets are. And I'm thinking about like this lived in space so that the character, when they use it, we see the door that is just there, it kind of fits in properly. It's not too wide or,
Mhm.
I mean, unless we decide that we want to make it look a little bit more ominous later where it may look bigger than it actually is. But for now, I want it to feel like it belongs in that space.
Absolutely. And this particular panel is super important because this is establishing our entire world, right? Everything kind of takes place in here. So ensuring that we really, that this bird's eye view, everything makes sense, everything is situated because
Um,
everything else we do has to take place in this space. So the space has to be logical. So this is such an important panel to lock down. And having it from that bird's eye view makes it really interesting because immediately from the comic book reader, you're looking down being like, ooh, this is not how I expect to normally see things. So it already sets into that kind of off-putting horror tone. And it also really sets up, our light sources, where things are going to sit, all those things. So this was a really important panel to really kind of make sure that all of these details were well thought out and placed properly.
and even if you weren't going to have a panel that looked like this, to Sarah's point, it's a good idea to be able to draw one for yourself, just so you have an idea of like where everything in that space is located, so that if you're blocking that scene in later, you'll know, okay, there's another like a closet beside it that you're going to see just the edge of, or, I know where the light source is coming from at all times. So therefore, I'll always be able to use that to my advantage. Right. So it's a good idea to create a layout like this for every room that you're going to have any kind of scene in.
Yes, absolutely. And as you can see, we're kind of playing with it and, how wide is it going to be? How's it going to look? This is sort of that chance to, make sure from all of the various, thumbnail stages that it translates into that bigger space. And also to Keith's point in the beginning that the door is there and it's prominent, but it doesn't feel off yet, right? It just feels like another door, but it's clearly, situated in the space because once we get deeper into the story, everything is going to take place kind of in front of that door. So it needs to have the real estate it needs around it so that it can be sort of the crux of the story.
Yeah. So you can see here, I'm adjusting the room now. Oftentimes I make things much bigger than they probably should be. And so I'm here making sure that this is actually a space that makes sense. That's important, that, if this is a place that somebody actually would be living in real life, you're not going to have this immense, huge open space that nobody actually really has unless you're like wealthy, right? This is somebody who's not necessarily well to do. They're going to be living in a space that's going to be like a open concept in some ways, even though that
Mhm.
wasn't. I think open concept is more of a luxury today, but at one point, like if any place that you'd be in a city, you may only have like one or two rooms, right?
Yeah.
And so in this case, you're looking and you have the entranceway, you've got a closet, you've got this strange door that we'll figure out what it is, but really, then you've got a bathroom and a bedroom, right? So um, that that extra that extra door could make sense, but the fact that you can't get into it and nobody knows why it's there to begin with is that's part of the creepiness of it.
Absolutely, and establishing that in the first panel is important because it sets the tone for the rest of the book. So, well, thank you for watching our recap on the Imagination Factory. Please make sure that you've subscribed, you catch up on all the episodes, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.